Hello, children. Well, we should have finished Where the Red Fern Grows now. And, you know, I know we've had an emotional time with finishing the book and the movie, and that's going to happen. But now we're going to do a response to literature essay on this. So, we've done this all year, a couple paragraphs, but now we're going to expand it. But to help you with that, I decided I wanted to write my own essay for you. Now, I'm not going to do Where the Red Fern Grows because I don't want you to get my ideas. I decided to do mine on which Spider Man I thought was best when it comes to the movie versions. He did pretty good on that, kids. Yeah, well, he should do kind of good. Yeah, I really don't want to say that he knows what he's doing, but don't tell him, but he's not bad. So, without further ado, I'm going to read this essay to you. As I'm doing this, I'm going to look down. We're not going to keep this video going because I don't want to stare at myself doing it the whole time. I'll put it up on the Promethean board so as I'm reading this, you guys can see the visual of the essay. Now without further ado, The Tangled Webs of Three Peter Parkers. After watching all of the Spider Man movies, Spider Man 1, 2, and 3, The Amazing Spider Man 1 and 2, and Spider Man Homecoming and Spider Man Far From Home, I believe that Tom Holland is the best of the three Spider-Mans that have been portrayed in the movies. I believe this because in the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, he is the most faithful to the character in the comic books. Three details will be laid out as to why Holland is the best Spider-Man of all over Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are web shooters, the height of the actors, and the sense of humor of the character. First, according to IMDb.com, Spider Man 1, 2, and 3 came out in 2002, 2004, and 2007, respectively. They were directed by Sam Raimi and starred Tobey Maguire as Spider Man. The Amazing Spider Man 1 and 2 came out in 2012 and 14. These two incarnations of the character were directed by Mark Webb. They starred Andrew Garfield as Spider Man. Finally, Spider Man Homecoming and Spider Man Far From Home came out in 2017 and 2019. These last two Spider Man movies were directed by John Watts and Tom Holland, starred as the title character. The knowledge of who directed these movies is vital because it will illuminate why the directors made the decisions they did with the characters and why Watts and Holland's Spider Man is the best of all three. To begin, Spider-Man's web shooters are vital to the character. In the last two incarnations of Spider-Man, these movies have Peter Parker create and use his web shooters. Peter's a scientific genius, so not only did he create the web shooters, but he also creates the web fluid that goes in the shooters. While in the first three Spider-Man movies directed by Raimi, Peter's webs were organic. They came out of his wrist. His fluid respawned itself like blood or saliva. I've always never liked his web shooters were organic. One of the great things about Peter in the comics is that even though he has superpowers, sometimes his web shooters break or he runs out of fluid. This is important because it humanizes the character. Even someone with superpowers can still be vulnerable like a mere mortal. Garfield's and Holland Spider-Mans have that quality, while Maguire's is much like the Spider-Man from the other storyline in the comics. Maguire's organic webs make it too easy for him to always have them, and it loses some of the qualities of frailty that make Spider Man one of the most relatable heroes. Next, as minuscule of a detail as it might be, the height of the three characters who portrayed Spider Man is a big deal. No pun intended. Again, according to IMDb.com, Tobey Maguire is 5'9" Andrew Garfield is 5 foot 10.5 inches, and Tom Holland is 5 foot 8 inches. In his character profile on Marvel.com, Spider-Man is 5 foot 10 inches. That would make Garfield's portrayal of the character closest in actual height. However, I feel Holland's is best because Spider-Man is 3 to 7 inches shorter than most of the other heroes in the Marvel comic universe. This always gives the impression that Spider-Man is not only the most intimidating of heroes. I feel this applies greatly to Holland's Spider-Man because the other characters in the Marvel universe cinematic universe, the MCU, don't regard him as a threat or having the capabilities to match another hero's strength and ability. However, what Spider Man lacks in height, he makes up with heart, and I feel that is best personified in Holland's version. Finally, one of the greatest aspects of the character of Spider Man in the comics is his gift for gab and sense of humor. Peter, behind the mask, never shuts up. He's always making quips to his villains, whether it be Venom, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, or others. And even when fighting alongside allies like Iron Man, Daredevil, Wolverine, who has no patience for Spider Man's sense of humor, and other heroes in the Marvel Universe. Spider Man does this because he's scared and fears he will lose his life with every battle. He uses his humor to mask his fears, pun intended. In the first set of Spider Man movies, McGuire's Spider Man brooded constantly. Now it is known that Spider Man is a self reflecting character and broods constantly on his life, i.e., love life, money problem, job, etc. However, in Raimi's Spider Man movies, McGuire broods incessantly and has little humor. Garfield's Spider Man has much more humor than McGuire's. In Amazing Spider Man, Garfield jokes when confronted with a carjacker who is wielding a knife. Oh no, not small knives. My one weakness is small knives. It is jokes like that that one rarely sees in Raimi's Spider Man. Although as both Amazing Spider Man and Spider Man 2 go along, Garfield's Peter starts to brood more and more and loses the sense of humor that makes Spider Man who he is, especially when it comes to not being able to be with Gwen Stacy. When Spider Man came into the MCU, the Russo brothers, who directed Captain America's Civil War, the first MCU movie that Spider Man made an appearance in, and later Watts, applied Spidey's sense of humor and love for gab to Holland's character, like spreading soft butter on warm bread. Holland seems to understand better than McGuire and Garfield how to countermatch Spidey's brooding over growing up and getting what he wants, with the humor of being the one who has the powers and responsibilities to save the day. An example of this is from Civil War when Spider Man is fighting with the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. And Spidey remarks, "You have a metal arm? That is so cool, dude." Another example of Holland's humor is when in Homecoming, Holland jokes to bank thieves who have Avenger masks. "Hey, you guys aren't the real Avengers. Mr. Stark, why are you robbing a bank? You're a billionaire." In summation, after watching all the Spider Man movies, I consider Tom Holland's Spider Man the best of the three. Holland's Spider Man, along with Garfield's, has web shooters that make Spider Man more human when his web shooters have a malfunction. Also, the height of Holland's Spider Man makes him unassuming to heroes and villains, which gives him Spider Man's humbleness. Finally, Holland's Spidey does the best with regards to capturing Spidey's quips and sense of humor, a quality that is distinct to only a few comic book characters. All in all, when it comes to the power and responsibility of creating the most faithful rendition of Spider Man, Tom Holland has done it the greatest. All right, children, I hope this gives you an idea of what I'm expecting when you're going to write a longer essay about which version of Where the Red Fern Grows you preferred more, the novel or the movie. If you have any questions, you know you are always welcome to come see me, or you can access my website or my Google Classroom. Everything you need to finish that assignment will be there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day. Oh, they probably will now. That wasn't bad, Tyke. Yeah, you can tell you messed up a little bit on reading. Maybe you should rehearse some stuff, you moron. I hate those two. No, you love us. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right, I do. Toodle.